Hey there. I've thought about doing this video for quite a while. Um, a little bit of a backstory. I grew up with two very wonderful parents, um, and my husband got me a 23&me kit for Christmas in 2019, and it's not something I asked for. I had gotten him a 23andMe kit the year before, and he was very intrigued by mainly finding out like his heritage and everything. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, yeah, that's awesome. I'll do this too. So I sent the kit back, or through the mail, the day after Christmas, actually. I was like, well, we don't really procrastinate in this household. Let's just do this. So I was very excited to get my results the more I kept talking about it with my husband. And um, I got the results on January 7th. It's a day I'll never forget. Um, I was at work, and on my lunch break, or maybe just like a quick break, coffee break, something, I was walking with some friends to Starbucks. This is before the pandemic, of course, in January of 2020. And I was like, oh, like I got a notification saying that my results are ready. I was very excited. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I opened it and kind of looked around a little bit at like the traits and health and the heritage part. Like I was German and Irish. I pretty much knew that. Like my mom's family is German and Irish. Um, and then I went over to DNA relatives because I was like, oh, who else is on here? I didn't know who to expect. And the number one person was someone I went to middle and high school with, and they were listed as my half brother. And I was like, what? And like, I hadn't seen or talked to this person since high school. Um, and I was just like, this has to be like a glitch. Like, this is so weird. Like, no way. Um, so I contacted him immediately because we were friends on social media, and I also called my mom. My mom didn't have a lot to say. She was very silent on the phone, and the person from high school, um, he was shocked that I did not know the truth. So I could not stay at work. I was way too distracted, anxious. I didn't know what was going on. When I called my mom. She said, you should come to the house and let us explain, basically. So I went to my parents' house, and they had told me that my dad had a vasectomy several years before I was born, and they had no choice but to use a sperm donor um, for me to be conceived. And I guess when I first heard the news, I was like, well, okay, you know, it was alright. Um, I was very shocked. Again, it's a day I'll never forget. But I just was, I don't know how I felt. It was just insane. Um, I didn't stay very long. But I think as days went on and I kept processing, it really affected my mental health, especially at work. I was like crying at my desk and just felt like my entire life was a lie, and like just things that I questioned growing up and wondered about, even like asked questions to my parents because I never looked like my dad growing up, and I do resemble my mom. We look a lot alike. If we stand next to each other, you can tell that she's my mom, but I always questioned little things, and I don't know, Like, I don't know, just like little things like my metabolism for the most part. I tend to have sort of a natural thin build. I typically don't gain a lot of weight. And and if I'm like wrong in saying that or whatever, please correct me in the comments. But that's just something I noticed. Like my physical appearance, that's a better way to say that. And also my like I have a lot of leg hair. My dad had no leg hair ever, um, and my dad was very dark skinned. He just had very natural dark skin. He tanned very easily. I never did or never do. Um, and just like little stuff like that, and like just stories that my mom would tell me of like how she got pregnant. I knew that she personally had a lot of trouble getting pregnant in her previous marriage, and of course with my dad. She had like at least one miscarriage. They considered adoption at one point. Um, but my point being, I was always completely like I was just like oh um, but I was very I just felt betrayed that they like never told me the truth. And I remember very specific things I would ask them. So looking back on it, it like really sucks. It's crazy. Um, I have talked to my mom about this quite a bit. She's gone to therapy with me. I started going to therapy um, in January, like right after I found out, pretty much a couple weeks after I found out. Because I just really struggled with it. Because on top of everything, my dad was very sick with liver cancer, and he actually passed away not long after I found out, just within a few months. I found out in January, and he passed away in May. So it's been quite the mental health journey, and I feel like a lot of people like don't realize that and don't realize how much like this can affect us. Even like when parents have told their children that they were conceived via sperm donor, it's it's crazy. Like it's I get that you had to do what you did, but it's almost like I feel like I exist without my permission. Because of this is because of something you wanted, and that sounds bad, maybe. But a lot of people tell me, you're a gift, you're a miracle. I don't feel that way. I'm sorry, I don't. Ever. So it's been quite the rocky road, if you will. But along the way, um, I reconnected with the person from high school. We talk to each other every once in a while. We do live in the same area. Um, he is my half brother, and I have another half brother um, and a half sister. We were all conceived from the same donor. So yeah, there's that too. And but we all talk pretty regularly. I talk to my sister very often, um, and I'm very thankful for that bond because I love my siblings that I grew up with. But it is very nice to connect with people you can truly relate to, and we're all around the same age, 26, 27, as this video goes up. Um, So I'm very thankful for that. And I do apologize. Like I'm saying all of this without any notes in front of me or script or anything. These are just my thoughts, and this is the way I'm expressing myself. I'm being extremely honest and just letting all of my feelings out there. Um, I'm very open about my feelings because I'm also gay. So coming out as donor conceived, um, I shouldn't say coming out, but it is a form of coming out. Things can be very triggering, like when people say, You know, you um, when people talk about my dad or mention a father, or if I'm filling out a questionnaire and it says something about a father, like father's name or father's medical history, well, I don't really know any of that. Biologically, I don't know any of that. Um, so that's very triggering. I've had people tell me, you look just like your dad, um, meaning the dad that raised me, and I don't think so at all. So that is triggering to me. Of course, people aren't trying to upset me. They probably don't even know the truth. A lot of people who have said that have been like my dad's family, um, and that's okay. But I don't think I look like him at all, and I've always thought that. So knowing this truth, it just makes sense. Um, but I did meet my donor or biological father last week, and it was a very nice experience. I had been in contact with him because my siblings knew who he was, knew his email. We had been in not regular contact, but I had emailed him a few times, and we met last week, and it was very nice. While it was nice, I do realize, and it was probably one of the best days of my life. It was wonderful. I just realized that this will be like an everyday struggle. Um, I have a lot of anxiety. I have like racing thoughts all the time. Um, and I get that like anxiety and like mental health struggles has become more talked about, more of a regular thing. But I just hope that people realize that this is serious. Um, and a lot of that goes with my parents keeping it a secret for so many years. And it sucks. It really does. And I've kind of told my mom this, but I have a little bit of resentment sometimes because although we have talked about things and I think she understands, I did tell her that I met my biological father or donor, and she had pretty positive things to say because she knew that I was struggling. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that she was happy that I was able to meet him and, kind of connect the dots, missing puzzle piece kind of thing. But I do realize that this is, going to be a struggle for a long time, maybe my whole life. But going to therapy regularly does help. So, let's end the stigma on therapy and like mental health. And, if you need to talk to someone, go talk to someone. So I'm very thankful for that. And yeah, it's been a struggle. I don't really know what else to say other than if you have secrets that you keep from your children about their biology or where they come from, tell them, just tell them. Like, um, I personally wish my parents would have told me when I was maybe about 18. I probably would have been a lot better about things today. Um, and this was just such a shock to me, and sometimes it feels like nobody's on my side other than my husband has been extremely supportive. My friends understand, but they don't they can't relate. So I'm thankful for the support that people have given me, but it's very much so like, you don't understand because you're not in this situation. So yeah, it's a struggle every day. And I just hope that people realize that. My dad, is and was my dad. He was one of my favorite people in the entire world. he was a wonderful dad, extremely supportive of everything I did. He was one of the first people I came out to, and he was immediately like, "I love you no matter what," because he was also older. Um, my dad was, um, I'm, he was 52 when I was born, just to put that into perspective. So, he passed away when he was 79, and I'm 27. So, um, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, he was just a wonderful, wonderful person, and he will always be my dad. But it's still a struggle. I still have thoughts and feelings of, when I see my brothers and sisters I grew up with, it's just like, wow, like we actually don't have any kind of blood relation. And I know that they have the whole like creating your own family, and even if your family isn't there for you, I completely understand that. But these are kind of like thoughts that race, and you just can't really help it. Can't help how you feel. Um, I mean, I will always love my siblings very much. But this will always be a struggle, for sure. But I'm getting through it. I keep regular contact with my donor siblings, and I hope to maintain contact with my biological father. Um, that's another thing. He and I look a lot alike. Um, we took a photo together, and like I look at it and I'm like, wow, like yeah, I'm your son. I am your biological child. So yeah, and some of the responses people have given me, or people have their um, take on things. Just remember that like you're not in my shoes, and like I know some people kind of have the attitude of like just get over it. It's like no, like my parents literally kept this from me for 26 years, so I'm probably never going to get over it. um, so just like remember that whenever people are struggling, like not only with like maybe their origins or where they came from, it's just you don't know everyone's story and like how they feel constantly. So having that like judgmental or like thought of just get over it, that doesn't help anything. If anything, it makes things worse. So I hope that makes sense. I keep saying that, but sure. But yeah. So definitely like if you were donor conceived, feel free to reach out to me. Absolutely. I am always looking for new people to talk to and relate to, and tell my story. I realize that my story is very unique because not a whole lot of people, I mean, a fair number, but like a lot of people, their parents did tell them, when they were younger, they told them, like, yeah, we used a sperm donor to, have you. But my parents never told me, and I'm realizing that like most people, their parents did tell them at some point, or they obviously knew if they had like two, parents of the same sex. But my parents never told me. So if anybody else can relate to that, definitely reach out to me. I'd love to, hear your story, talk to you. Um, but yeah, I just had to have all these feelings come out in some way for people to truly understand what I'm going through, how I feel. And I found out a year ago around this time, so I think that has a lot to do with it too. Just knowing that it's been a year since I found out this very shocking news. The year's gone, despite 2020, the year went by pretty fast, but it's been a struggle. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it was kind of a lot and all over the place, but it's my story, and I'm very open about it, very open about my opinions. And I think that should be pretty normal to people. So, but thank you again for listening. I hope you have a good day, and Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you.